heaven, hell. They clearly all have management issues at this point. Hazbin Hotel Season 2. First two episodes have now come out. I have seen them. I am not going to make promises as to how quickly I'm going to get reviews out for this relative to when episodes come out, but I'll try. I'll do my best. But let's start right from the beginning with reiterating I liked Hazbin Hotel. I had some very complicated thoughts about the storyline with Angel Dust. I did a whole video about that, not so much because I thought it was poorly done, but because it kind of exemplified a pattern in storytelling around certain kinds of characters that I found frustrating. So I kind of went off on that, but I actually do think that is the best episode of that season. So maybe that kind of shows how my relationship with this is kind of complicated. For the most part, I like it. There are times where it was a little too forcibly edgy for its own sake. The songs were good. Like even the bad songs were still like, yeah, that was fine. Bad being relative, and the good ones are great. My main criticism that I had that first season was I felt there was a little bit too much that didn't get covered in the show itself. There was a little bit too much that if you hadn't watched the pilot and if you didn't follow like the lore drops from Vivzipop, the creator of this thing, or things like that, then there was a fair amount of stuff that just didn't get explained. It didn't make it impossible to follow, but there were times where I would be like, yeah, I don't know what's up with that. And then fans of the thing would be like, oh, well, it's this. I'm like, where did you get that from? And they're like, oh, from this thing, this official post, from this or this comic or this, post that was made. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to follow all that though. That was my primary criticism. But for the most part, it's fun. It's raucous. It has an energy not a million miles away from Rocky Horror Picture Show, which I'm here for. In terms of that high energy, waving its freak flag very freely kind of a thing that it goes for. And we're now getting season 2. I am going to assume you've seen season 1. I ain't gonna explain it. Unfortunately, my issue with stuff being brought up that isn't really in the show, at least not in the show on Prime, kind of continues. Although in another way, okay. So there's two main examples of this that I'm going to bring up. They're kind of like inverses of each other. On the one hand, we have the whole thing with Serpentius, who was a sinner, a sort of snake demon, who was killed at the very end of the previous season. But we also saw that through his sacrifice was redeemed and ended up in heaven. And yeah, second episode of this follows up on that because they dropped 2 episodes at a time. So, but in the first episode, Charlie, who is Lucifer's daughter and runs the Hazbin Hotel, the goal of which is to redeem sinners so they can get into heaven, which is a plan she has had that she came up with no input from heaven. They either didn't want her to do it or assumed it couldn't possibly work. But she is, she is just as high-strung and tightly wound as ever. So just everything is normal as far as that goes. But she is sort of grieving Serpentius, and one of his minions who's left behind, his little egg boys, is like, oh, all these busts of Pentius, like, oh, here's where he cried when you forgave him, and here's where he cried the first time he lost to Cherry Bomb. And I was like, wait, lost to I was like, is that worded weirdly? Because like Cherry Bomb is his not properly requited crush that he had. What do you mean lost? And then I remembered like, oh, in the pilot episode before the start of the series proper, like he and her were like fighting each other for territory. So that's what that line refers to. But the pilot's not on Amazon. Like, the pilot is canon still, so far as I'm aware, but the pilot's not on Amazon. The pilot's only on YouTube. So you drop a line, and it's not like it's a load-bearing thing, but you drop a line that only makes sense if you've seen something that doesn't exist on the platform that you're watching this on, where like 95% of this series exists. But then on the flip side of that, they did an odd thing. So that there's a character named Baxter, who I get, again, if you follow a bunch of stuff other than just watch the show, I guess is a character who's technically been around, like in the backgrounds or stuff, or at least he's a character design that's been shared for a while. But he shows up, and sort of the role that he slips into is something that Alistair was doing in the pilot, but he never really did in the show proper. So like Baxter shows up and he's all like, yes, I would like to study you because I think this hotel is doomed to failure and I would like to see the ways in which it fails, which is really weirdly reminiscent of way back from the pilot where Alistair, his whole initial thing for backing and supporting the hotel was, I think this is a silly idea that will fail and I really want to see that happen. So I'm going to help make it happen so I can watch it fall apart. That was something that is in the pilot and never really came up in the show proper. And now it was like, well, we do want to have a character who's doing that, but rather than have it be the guy who was doing it originally in the pilot, we're now going to bring in this guy and have him be that thing that we set up another character to be, but I guess we can get away with not having it be him because that was in the pilot and the pilot doesn't count, except the pilot does count because we reference other stuff that it only exists in the pilot and wasn't really established in the show. What is your relationship to your freaking pilot? Can you decide? Please. Again, I'm pretty sure the pilot's canon, but like, move forward either no longer referencing it directly or get it on the dang platform and be consistent about it. I've spent a while now complaining, which I feel bad about because I did enjoy this. These aren't the best episodes ever. Then again, first 2 episodes of the first season were not the best episodes ever. It really started picking up with the second batch of episodes and then some more stuff after that. But there is some interesting stuff here. We get to see a little bit of what Vox, who is the TV-headed demon, is planning. He's very much trying to take charge because he has partners. He has Velvet and Valentino. There was one amazing line from Valentino. So Valentino is Angel Dust's abusive director. And Vox is like trying to get Velvet and Valentino to tone down some of their behavior, and there's references to stuff they did last season, and he references to Valentino like, you need to stop beating up Angel in public. And Valentino's like, I've never done that, and Vox just pulls up a TV, like hits a button on a remote, and we just get a little quick montage of Valentino slapping or tossing Angel Dust around, and then it just cuts back to Valentino and he just looks at Vox and goes, you're obsessed with me. I'm like, oh, Valentino is the worst, and that line is perfect. Oh, so Vox is really the only one right now with a plan. He has a plan that we don't know the details of, but he has a plan to create an uprising in hell to go after heaven, because after the events of the finale last season, they now know they can kill angels with the right weapons on hand. So that's clearly something he wants to do. Now, Charlie doesn't want that, although Charlie and the hotel are now kind of celebrities because they killed angels, and in specific killed Adam. Some interesting follow-up on that on a couple of fronts. So to deal with the first episode and like the stuff going on in hell, Charlie is trying to deal with the pressure of there's way more interest in the hotel, but they're not interested in being redeemed. They're interested in joining an angel killing army, which she doesn't actually want to do. There's also an odd subplot with Vaggie trying to think of another name, which like I get, given like her name was given to her by Adam, but like in my mind, I'm also thinking you kind of reclaimed your name when you decided to have it be pronounced a different way than how he pronounced it when he gave it to you. I don't know. We'll see if that goes anywhere. It feels like it's just a setup for a recurring bit that I'm probably going to get bored with. But yeah, Charlie's trying desperately to hold it together. Lucifer's around. He's trying to help. Mostly there just to try and help her chill a little bit. But they're all there. And when Charlie eventually says, like, look, if you're here to try and kill angels, please leave. If you want to be redeemed, please stay. At which point, nearly everybody leaves. Basically, everybody except the existing cast and Baxter, which probably for the best. We don't need to load in 50 million other characters right away. So that's a lot of the stuff going on in hell. Now, in heaven, it was interesting to see more of heaven. First of all, we get a little bit more sense of the structure up there. And we get, she gets called the speaker. I'm going to have to stop myself from calling her the Metatron, because I don't know if she's ever going to be called that in the show. But the voice of God, who is someone above Sarah, aka Seraphim. And Sarah we knew, Emily we knew, Lute, who was Adam's right hand and a vicious piece of work. Yeah, we knew all these characters, but the speaker, I really like the speaker's design. It's voluminous. Like, she really fills the space without feeling crammed in. It's nicely done. It's just extra, like very extra across the board in a way that works, because sort of maximization design doesn't usually work for me. No, works on her. We meet Abel. Abel as in Cain and Abel, Adam's kid. No sign of Cain. I wouldn't expect him to be in heaven, though. So whether or not he shows up anywhere, who knows? We'll see. But we meet Abel, Adam's son, who Adam didn't really like, who's just kind of a sweet little butterball of a guy. I kind of like Abel. I'll be curious to see, like, what they do with him as a character, but like personality wise, I'm like, oh, you sweet boy. You have just been handed being the leader of an army because it's what your dad, who didn't even like you, did. And you are not cut out for this. Sweet, sweet boy. Oh no. So I'll be real curious to see what goes on there. And then of course there's Lute, who wants vengeance because hell killed Adam. Well, specifically Nifty killed Adam. Although, like, there's a moment of the first episode where Charlie's like, she acted in self-defense. I'm like, no, she didn't. No, she didn't. Like, look, overall, everyone who was fighting in the hotel was acting in self-defense because the hotel was being assaulted. But the specific circumstances under which Adam died and under which Nifty killed him, no, she was not acting in self-defense. No, she wasn't. She stabbed him in the back over and over and over and over again, and he didn't know she was there. So, let's not rewrite history here, Charlie. Come on. But anyways, Lute being real clearly upset and starting to have visions of Adam, which is a thing that I like. It doesn't always work, but it's a thing I tend to like. One character having visions of another who's not there anymore. It's a thing that I tend to like more often than not. I mean, the gold standard for me is Harvey in Farscape, but stuff like Head 6, the way that Dexter Morgan might see Harry talking to him in the earlier runs of Dexter, stuff like that. I like that. I enjoy I'm in your head now kind of stuff, and her having this vision of Adam, who is encouraging her to be the worst version of herself she can be and have the worst reaction she could possibly have to all this, and also give us the best song of the first 2 episodes. Yeah, huge shocker. The song that they released as a teaser ahead of the season is the best song of the first 2 episodes. That would be Gravity. That's that song. Dang, man, that goes so hard. I love it. I love a good villain song anyway, but yeah, that was real good. That one's very cool. I dig the heck out of that. And I'm going to be real curious to see, I'm going to be curious to see if they contrive a reason for Vox and Lute to, in some way, try and help each other. I say contrive because I think it would have to be contrived, but I've seen plenty of shows where it's like these two villains who are on opposite sides, but they're like, okay, but you do this thing for me, I'll do this thing for you. We both get something we want, and then we stay out of each other's way, and we each wreck shop respectively. I could see them trying to do that. I would be more interested in just seeing there being two simultaneous problems that are building up. We'll see. Also, boy, Alistair, what are you doing? What are you doing, dude? You're just kind of hanging out now? Bitter, a little bit of a dick? What's up with you? Oh, and Lilith. We get a little glimpse of Charlie's mom. My main question is like, where is she and why did she leave? Like, it's not a case of dead mom because, Charlie tries to call her, just, she doesn't pick up. So where the hell are you? And why are you in contact with Loot, but not your own kid? What's going on? I don't know. I'm not gonna. I know that those people who are more into the Hell of a Boss, not Hell of a Boss. Jeez, I knew I was gonna do that. Hazbin Hotel fandom are, I'm sure, coming up with all kinds of theories around all this. I'm not a theory crafter. Never have been. Never really will be. My brain just doesn't work like that. But I'm curious. I want to find out more. Solid start. Not amazing, but solid. I like it. So yeah. If you liked the first season, I think you'll be happy with this. Also, you know what? Penchus looks good in white. And shockingly, his human form that we see from a flashback to before he died and went to hell, yeah, he's kind of cute. Didn't expect that. Like my base level comparison for human versions of the hellish entities is Hell of a Boss, the characters who can take on a human disguise, like Stolas and Luna. Penchus is definitely the best looking of that kind of thing. But anyways, this was rambly. But that again, that's why I call these rambling reviews. Ha ha! I know what I'm doing. Almost, kinda, sorta, maybe. What are your thoughts on any of this? What do you think of the show? What do you think of the latest episodes? What was your favorite song and why is it Gravity? Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Patreon pays the bills and enables me to do this as my living, even if you can't help me out that way. Like, share, subscribe. They all help. Don't worry too much about it, though. We take a relaxed attitude around here, so you can just come on back next time you need a break. Now to thank my highest supporting patrons. Robin Moore, Jared Boyce, Subin Lutfulla, Andicate 808, Mara G, Angry Casperl, Dave Hall, Movie Turtle, Oliver B, The Baba Duchess, Sean Miller, Welsh Wrestling Geeks, Melissa Pedersen, Mary Mello, Becky Sparks, Loki Eris, Tracy Scrabbit, Pau Baraba Joggle, and Sir Didymus is my favorite. I also want to give my thanks to all the supporters who didn't get named because you are all indeed very nifty people. You could be a nifty person too if you go support me on Patreon, and there's the clause. Ugh.